Welcome back to the channel. We're ready to discuss some of the tech or the bit of a nuance that's going on with this weapon after using it for an entire weekend and learning some of the ins and outs of it. Just a few things to consider, and if you've been playing it, then you already know what's going on. But there's definitely a little bit more than meets the eye that's happening with this build here. Now, as discussed, I've seen in places that we're comparing the damage of if we were to just continue to fire lasers versus if we were to just do this little box trick. And should we be using 1 boxes or 3 boxes? I mean, which one's better? Obviously, 3 boxes is going to be better. It's actually about 20% more damage if it's on 3 boxes. The only problem with using 3 at a time is 1, that it takes a little bit of extra time and thread to set up, and 2, actually those were both the things. 1 is that it's more thread, and 2 is that it takes extra time, and I guess 3 just being that they're not gonna like hang around your triple box, and they might even just knock it over and break it all together if they're moving around and stuff. So it can be a little bit of a pain to keep setting up, and then you run out of thread for the anchors that you actually need to make this build really work for you. But one thing to consider here is, I think before I discussed having a 3-shot that was going to get you into a full bar. But what I have discovered from playing this weapon a lot this weekend is that the anchor, hold on, let's just take a look here. When we fire, that bar fills up to about there. However, if we fire and then immediately exit out, you'll notice almost no charge. And that's from doing the anchor jump to fire to anchor jump, okay? So what this means is that if you're really fast, you can get off about 7 or 8 of these before you'll need to recharge. Now, will you be in a good position to fire upon the kimono for 7 or 8 shots? That I don't know. But what I do know is that if you are firing these shots, what you can do is, if you're watching that meter very closely while you're fighting, you can determine when is the perfect time to jump out of the meter so that the gun doesn't overheat. Because if the gun overheats, then it's going to deplete this meter immediately. But even if it does overheat, you can anchor out of the overheat animation, and you also can continue to volley. Because as a test that I did earlier showed that if you jump off even if you jump off a triple box with a full meter, you're going to shoot for the base damage was about 3,300. But these volleys fire 6 shots for 213 apiece, which means that every time you volley, if you hit every single shot, like if you have a really good shot, you're hitting for 1,300 damage. So in 3 hits, you're going to do more damage than that triple box shot. Now, the laser, for the same base damage, the laser was testing around 12,500. So, quick math or whatever, but that's like, it's a little bit better than 3 box jumps. But as anyone who's played this weapon knows, setting up a laser is a giant pain in the ass. Usually you have to trap the kimono. You have to get them to stop moving, or you just have to get really lucky and hope for the best. But we also have multiple advantages with this weapon being a flame-based weapon. Uh-oh, I guess we're going to start this fight early. So we will see these advantages. Not on that initial draw, but let's see now. See, we're just exiting out of there at just the right time. We're going to miss the first shot, but that's okay, because we're going to zoom back in and continue DPSing. Go back to this box we planted over here. I believe he's on fire already. We're going to jump out of there just in time. The fire, if you notice this, the only reason he's on the ground right now, he's not stunned. It's the fire, right? When he gets set on fire, what he does is roll around the ground uncontrollably. Oh, that was bad timing. That's about the only thing that can stop this thing from happening. So when they're on fire, they're going to roll around on the ground and try to put themselves out, which is basically as good as a knockdown. I don't know if you're going to get final blow off that or not. We don't have any final blow in this build whatsoever. We're We're going to put down another anchor, and we're going to zoom back in. This mobility is great. We're going to hop there. Now we got the stun off. Bam. Basically, we're having some anchor problems. This is what I mean about the single-use Karakuri. Now we're getting some... Oh, we tried to jump out of that overheat and we could not do it. But that's okay, because what we can do is continue to use it anyway. But he's going to run away. But even if you're overheated, you can still run these volley maneuvers over and over and over again. The meter will fill up again. If you'll see when it's all red, it's going to fill up again. So, but you can just keep doing it. You just have to watch out for the stun animation that's going to happen because of it. So another cool thing about this setup here is obviously we don't have def roars. You saw me take some stagger damage from the roar that we heard earlier. But this helm is a special helm that every time you drink some water, it makes your damage go up by 25%. Which, as you can imagine, is crazy. We're going to get out of the way of that little jump he's doing there. He swoops in. Then I imagine he's going to fall down from this. Yep. We're going to zoom out just as he's doing that here. Then we're going to pop this on him. See, now if we can get pressed up against him nice like this, then we can do some really cool things. This is a very small kimono, so it can be a little bit difficult to get these little hops in here, because usually if they're bigger, your body will stop against them, and then it's far easier. But we're going to get so many of these shots off here. We're going to make a single box. Let him do this. Oh, we'll just hop up here. See how many of these shots we're getting off now? These fingers are getting fast. He's on fire again. Which basically means that... Oh, man. Sorry, my FPS is dumping and I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so he's already taken off. And how much of this fight did he spend not on his ass? Not a whole lot of it. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but he's either getting stunned or he's on fire. And he's just going to be on the ground. And this is the probably... I know it's just Rage Tail. You know, no big deal. It's just Rage Tail. But... as a smaller kimono, it does make this more difficult. So it's a lot of aim that's happening here, which towards the end, I just couldn't do it. The FPS was just gone. It wasn't happening. But on these larger kimono, this is so insanely easy to pull off. So we'll get a little fire here action while we're waiting for this charge to deplete. And then we'll just charge in, and we're going to try to, when they do the initial jump there, oops. Okay. We've activated our resurrection. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get our 25% damage. He's going to fire that. But that's okay. Are you really coming over here? We can hop out of there. I don't know how many that was. It seemed like a lot. So when you're up in the air, it's a little bit harder to do this. But we're good. This might even stun him again. Can you please hit this? Where'd I put it? Okay, we'll hit this box again. We're just... yeah, I mean, it's just that easy. He almost spends no time fighting you, so... this is the first game I'm playing today, so I'm not even warmed up or anything, but there is a little bit of, like, you know, as you can see with the nuance to everything. Sometimes you can get so many shots off, it's ridiculous. I mean, look at this. The only reason we couldn't do that again is because I just wasn't fast enough with my fingers. But if you're insanely fast, this is just gonna... it's just absolutely ridiculous, right? I mean, 8 of these, if we were talking about like 8 perfectly placed, which let's pretend in a perfect world to get 8 perfectly placed one of these, that's going to be as much damage as a single laser. okay? The entire laser is sitting in a circle. It's going to equal that damage just by doing that. And it's going to do it a heck of a lot faster. Now, that's in a perfect world. I understand. But it's just something to keep in mind that these volleys are doing a ton of damage. And because it's firing 6 separate shots, it's also doing a ton of this elemental damage. I believe we had 3 or 4 different fire drops where he was rolling the ground just because the fire element applied to him. Now, the downside to this is it's obviously not going to work on a kimono that's resistant to fire. It's not going to do anything against them. But it is probably out of all the elements, I gotta say it's probably the best just because of how long they just sit there and wait for you to attack them. And if you're in a group especially, this monster's just on his ass half the fight and your team's just whooping his ass, just having a grand old time, pulling off their best combos, and you are just gonna drop these things so fast. So it's completely up to you. And also, you can just continue to do these lasers if you wanted to, and you could just build meter just by doing this. And if you're paying attention, this meter builds regardless of whether or not you hit the kimono. It doesn't matter. There's no kimono here, and the meter still builds up fully. It's no problem at all. It's obviously not gonna shoot me a red thing if you hit this. That's just not how it works. You have to hit a live, living, giant kimono. I think it actually works on the smaller ones, but they're really hard to hit. So, yeah, it's just really cool. You know, I just much prefer to do it this way. I like this jumping shotgun style of gameplay. I think it's really fun and it's really cool. And the more I do it, the better I get at it. You know, if I did 3 or 4 hunts right now, like you get so fluid with it that it's just poetry. It's absolutely poetry. How just great it feels to just destroy these guys and just take their souls away from them and just watch them whimper as they can do nothing about it whatsoever. Especially good on the ice kimonos, especially good on the larger ones. So there it is. I hope that explains a little bit deeper into the gameplay side of this, of what's happening. I don't think I left anything out, but if I did, I'm sorry. I'm shooting this video for the 2nd or 3rd time now because I'm trying to get everything into a nice condensed version of this, and I didn't want to have it be a bunch of boring me in front of a training bear stuff. So I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, happy hunting. Be good to each other. Take care. Bye-bye then.